Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Dean Rogers. Welcome back to the Dean Rogers Show. Today, I've got a saucy special guest, Mr. Nathan Brooks. What's up, Nathan?
What's up, Dean? How are you, man?
I'm good, dude. I'm excited to have you here. I've had this day marked on my calendar, and the day is finally here. Like, I've been having sleepless nights, thinking about this conversation. Since we last saw each other, there was magic in the air.
There was a sweet embrace. There was some photography to remember the moment.
Yeah.
And and I mean, how can you go wrong with those kind of moments?
You know what's funny is I gotta go into this real quick because there's just a thing, like when you run into somebody, we're always out meeting people intentionally, but sometimes you just come across somebody, and usually it's the sports guys. Like, you're an athletic dude, and we'll get more into that later, but like usually it's the sports guys where it's just a deeper level of understanding, and we just start flirting with each other. You know what I mean? Like
well, I mean, you're a tall, handsome fella. How could I not, want to have that conversation? And, when you say we're both sports guys, I'm not sure if I feel really adequate in that same comparison, but I will take it, and I am grateful for that. And I will say you are an exceptionally people who have not met Dean. He is a beautiful man in person, and he's also incredibly kind and helpful and generous. And that's one of the things I loved the most about him, because having real people is the best.
Wow. I'm going to start blushing, maybe some tears. Stop it.
Just cover it up.
Yeah. Well, for those of you that don't know Nathan, which would be crazy if you didn't, Nathan is in Kansas City market in the metro area. He's the co-founder and CEO of Bridge Turnkey Investments. He's done a ton of turnkey real estate out in the Kansas City metro area. He's also, if you guys can go check him out online, The No Quitter's Guide to Investing in Real Estate. When I saw you come out with that book, which I had heard of you through several friends, we hadn't really met in person yet and flirted with each other yet, but when I had heard of that, I was like, I love this title, dude. I love this title. So we're going to have to touch on that. You're still in Kansas City, living on your 11-acre property with your wife, your couple kids. You love the outdoors. You love training MMA. You love hunting, finding new ways to challenge yourself. I especially like the last part, new ways to challenge yourself, because I think, high achievers are usually trying to do that. They're trying to push themselves in many different ways, not just business. And so, man, we're going to dive into that. You were also just talking before we got started here, kind of transitioning into some bigger and better deals. So we're going to have to unpack that too. For those of you that want to follow Nathan, connect with him, I always encourage everybody to just reach out. You can find him online at Nathan Brooks, REI, at Nathan Brooks, REI. So, dude, let's just kind of start with the beginning, kind of get through your story, and then we can get into some super serious nuggets. Before the show, we even thought of the topic of the show, how to create vision in your life and business with Nathan Brooks. I love that topic. So let's let it rip.
I love that. How can you have what you want if you don't define what it is?
Yeah.
So
Mic drop.
I started actually in 5th grade. I started playing string bass and piano. And since I was a kid, I was not the like stud sports guy. I was a musician. And so I played in orchestra, I sang in choir, and all the way through college. And then after I played music professionally for over 10 years. So,
whoa.
I actually come from a real estate place, I think maybe unusual, because a lot of people have like a business background, or they have some other, sports, whatever background. And I actually was the music geek.
Yeah.
So
you were slapping the bass? Did I hear that right?
Slapping the bass. Yep. I played literally, I've conducted choirs for, hundreds of people. I've
No
written,
way.
I played and sang, in front of tens of thousands of people.
What's
Uh,
I don't even know the right word to ask, but are you a bass? Are you a tenor, or where are you in the octave?
I'm, I'm definitely a tenor. So soprano, you got it right.
I got a couple of them. I don't know all of them.
Yeah. So soprano, alto, there's a mezzo in there too. And then there's, tenor, baritone, bass. So you got it. You were in the game.
Nice.
But yeah, so I love music and I love putting things together. And, sports, it requires all of these different people to do the position other than, maybe golf, right? Which is really hard and it's a one man show. But in music, it was also something interesting because you had to do that work by yourself. There's nobody that's going to go in there and play the piano or play the guitar or work on those things if you're not doing it.
Mm.
And so I really appreciated that as I made a transition to real estate. And I found real estate from Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad, which is probably like 99% of the people who found real estate. And I overheard a guy talking about real estate sitting in a booth, like behind me at a restaurant. And I did like any good entrepreneur does. I got up, left my probably fiance at the time, not even wife, went and talked to this guy and somehow found myself in business like 2 or 3 weeks later with this guy.
Yeah. With the guy too. With that guy.
With the guy. Oh yeah. Awesome plan. First day I bought a house, I bought two.
Why not one? Let's just get two.
Let's just get two. And I went on to buy a handful of other ones. Didn't know what I was doing. That original partner guy, I use that term very loosely, who stopped showing up except for on Fridays asking for money. I started hiring guys from the day labor pool because I wasn't sure where else to get contractors. You could say, if you want to look for the checklist of all the things not to do, I created it.
Wow. So what ended up happening with that guy? Was he just like a lousy partner, or was he like doing something bad, shady or something?
Man, it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. Come to find out, there was like a divorce situation in the background, and there was other homes and issues in the background. And, in all reality, I had no business doing that. And I had no business getting into that. And I had no money. I had no experience. I had no nothing. I didn't bring anything other than pure desire to do something and make a change, because it's hard to make a living as a musician, right?
Yeah.
It's a hard thing to make a living at.
Feast or famine, right?
It is 100%. And so I somehow went on to buy a handful of more houses. Back then there was this sweet thing called the 80-20 loan where you could get 80% first mortgage and a 20% second mortgage. And so basically, 100% financing, and bought a handful more houses. Didn't get inspections, Dean, because I couldn't afford to pay for the inspection like any good investor does. And so if you look at like the trend of my initial real estate investing career, it wasn't very good.
Yeah. I think your story is not unlike many others I've heard, where you find your way into real estate one way or another. It's a great idea. You jump in, you make all the bad mistakes, and you're the one that pays the price. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And
so what was that like? Did you just get wrecked or what?
Got wrecked. Ended up going through bankruptcy December of 2009.
Okay. So this was even more juicy because it was during everything being real estate's hot, everybody's winning. Okay.
No. So this is like as the collapse of 07, 08, 09.
Yeah.
This is when like it's just really everything is on fire. And the crazy
Did you buy
part,
the houses when the market was still stable? The house of cards? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. Like, oh man, real estate's so great.
Yeah.
And then you get wrecked like most of the country.
Good luck. Not only did you make a lot of mistakes and not have enough liquidity and not, do the things that you should have done, but now we have this like insane roller coaster situation in the market. So yeah, it went through bankruptcy. That sucks. And I do talk about it quite a bit in the book, but I distinctly remember sitting there, the trustee whose responsibility is to basically anything that you have of value, because I filed for Chapter 7, which is where you basically push all your chips in, right? If you're on the monopoly board, you literally push all the chips in. And
what's the benefits of doing that?
Well, in a Chapter 13, you have some sort of payment and reset, and not everything goes away. In a Chapter 7, it's literally like a clearing of the board, so everything is gone.
Yeah,
other than a student loan, because
we'll keep that.
Yeah, but so that's a difference. And in a Chapter 7 is weighted more heavily than a Chapter 13 as well. So most of the time it says like, did you file Chapter 7? Chapter 7 follows you around for a decade.
Wowzer.
Yeah, for a decade. So I had that on my credit for a decade. And so it's a great complication on getting really anything financed. Even after I was a millionaire in real estate, it was still a problem. So, I don't take that lightly, and I certainly encourage people to be very thoughtful. And that's why I'm so passionate about creating a vision, creating a plan, creating a strategy that you can run down, and even though you're starting, you can do things in a much better way and in a much more thoughtful way, which would be a much better outcome.
Yeah. So dude, after you get totally wrecked, like how did you navigate those tough times? How did you convince yourself to stay in the game? Mm-hmm. And then how do you go on to build a freaking massive turnkey real estate company? Like, and I think what's most interesting about that, why I want to talk about it, as opposed to just like, all right, cool, let's skip over and talk about how'd you build this cool business? You weren't doing real estate. Like that was your first experience, and you had all this time before as a musician. So you get into this brand new thing, you get wrecked, and somehow you said, that's awesome. I want to keep doing this.
I can distinctly remember that conversation with my wife as well. Like, you want to do what? Like, you want to go back in there? And, I'm thinking, yeah, we're going to go through all of this and have all this pain and all this, frustration that came out of this experience and not take the lessons and do something with it. Like, that is crazy. And so I am a persistent human being, and journaling is one of my tools, and I track literally every day. I don't do it in like a journal anymore. I just do it on my notepad, but literally every day starts with gratitude and focus. I don't know if you can see that, but every day I have that gratitude, focus. What are all the things I need to do? And, at the end of the day, I made a decision that it didn't matter. I was going to figure it out, and I was going to take a different path and make better choices, which of course I've still screwed up plenty of times.
Sure.
But it just was, I mean, the book's called No Quitter, but in all seriousness, I was like, there's no chance that I'm not stopping. I'm not stopping. And I'm figuring this out. I'm going to do it. I'm going to create it. And I'm going to do a much better job the second time.
So where do you think that comes from inside? Because, most people give up. Most people give up. Most people don't want to go through pain. They want to be comfortable. They don't want adversity. They want the easy button, right? So again, I think it's really interesting coming from the musician background. That was your passion. That's where you were, you're expert. Mm-hmm. What made you say, you know what, I'm not going to quit? Like, is this like from your background? Is it just from like just innately who you are as a person? Or how do you think is it a skill you developed, a muscle you developed?
I think the nature nurture question's really interesting. And I think about it a lot, and I listen to podcasts like Lex Friedman's, podcast. A lot of times they have people, and they would just had a discussion on this too. Like, are you created that way? Is your conditions that way? And I think it's all of the above. And I think the bottom line comes down to a couple things. First of all, are you willing to suffer? And I've trained jujitsu, martial arts. I took a cage fight at age 39. That was one of the most uncomfortable things of my whole life. And getting punched in the face, getting in a arena full of thousands of people in a cage fight.
Getting punched in the face on purpose, right?
Get punched in the face on purpose. And, obviously that's not real estate, but I think it parallels because I've intentionally put myself in positions where I have to challenge myself. So when I see the opportunity that there's something that I'm lacking or that I am deficient, I want to go after it. And once it's like anything, once you see it, you can't unsee it. And I think a lot of times we're actually not honest with ourselves, and we'll say some BS story about how bad we want to do something, or how we have some creative idea, or how we think we'd be amazing, or we can make $1 million, or we could sing like Taylor Swift or whatever. But we don't back it up with any action. And so if you're not willing to put yourself on the line and actually do that, that's the difference maker. And I honestly believe a lot of times people don't take action because they actually are lacking self-confidence, self-love, self-appreciation, and all of the stuff that they dealt with as a kid, as a teen, as a whatever. They let these stories play in their mind instead of reprogramming themselves to say, I'm a machine and I can go do whatever I want to do. And I'm going to do whatever I need to do to create that. And secondly, I think it's vision. And I'm an avid hunter, outdoorsman, and I think about this and I use this analogy all the time. So you have a rifle and you have a scope and you have this little tiny object that flies through the air at a couple thousand feet per second.
Mm-hmm.
And if you slightly move as you fire that weapon, it's not going to hit the target, right? And as you adjust the scope, you have to adjust as the distance is longer. You have to adjust for wind and adjust for distance. And the further our vision gets out and the further we force ourselves to look, the more refined we have to be with our intention. And so I have made myself over and over and over be more intentional about the clarity of my vision. And then therefore, the clearer it is, the easier it is to hit that target. And so I said, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it takes longer. It doesn't matter if the path is a little different. I am not stopping until I create this.
I like that. So let's work through, because I want to come back to that about your intention and the vision and really dive in there. So walk us through how you then had that intention, had that focus with your vision, how you built the business, what that did for you, how you've kind of transitioned into other different type of deals that you're doing. And then, we'll tie it out with all the vision.
Sure. Yeah. Well, so I got back into real estate and I did some joint venture deals, some that did well, some that did not do well. I had a number of opportunities. I ended up getting on the Bigger Pockets podcast early on, and it created this incredible opportunity for me. Lots of people, inboxing me and wanting to talk to me. And so I met my partner, David, through Bigger Pockets, otherwise known as realestatemingle.com. And we had an instant connection and really felt passionate about building a business and wealth through real estate. And so I still hadn't really learned this yet, but we all have this natural thing that we want to do. And we will try to do other things, but if we aren't living within the way that we're made, the way that we're built, we will naturally try to deviate out of this. And so, for instance, I don't love details. I don't love keeping track of receipts. I don't love all of the high level of any detail about anything. I do not like it unless I'm obsessed, and then I will obsess about it until I had enough, and then I'm done. But in the day to day, so I still hadn't discovered this as I met David. And so there'd be things that I would drop, or there'd be things that he'd have expectations on that I wouldn't do, or I'd ask for a specific number and he'd send me a huge spreadsheet. And I'm like, no, I just want the number. Like, just give me the one number. And at the end of the day, I realized that if I'm to be the most successful I can be, I have to actually sit in the seat of the thing that I'm really good at doing. And we have disc profiles, and we have Myers-Briggs, and we have PI, and we have all these wonderful things that help us tell about our personality. But once I started taking account of who I was and what my natural skills and skill set were, and then worked on refining that, and then delegating the things that I wasn't good at, that is when the change started to happen. I had to get myself out of the way. And I think a lot of times we have this ego attachment to who we are, and I'm the CEO, and I'm the boss, and I do all the things, and my name's on the thing, and my name's on the sign, and none of that actually matters. And I actually have a quote on my board that says, "A leader is best when people know he exists, when his work is done, his aim is fulfilled, and they will say, 'We did it ourselves.'" Talking about the team, like that is leadership. And I started to learn what it meant to actually empower and delegate, and not only offer space, but like pull in. There's a push-pull in business that we get to find out, that we actually create a space for someone else to come in and help us with the vision that we have. And that's when the special things happen, because you find people who are good at the things that you are not. And so we went from doing 10 houses to 30 houses to 60 houses to doing hundreds of houses, and made the Inc. 5,000 list multiple years in a row. And we added, $50+ million to our clients' balance sheets through the houses we're buying and selling, and buying, flipping, and selling to our investors all over the country, internationally, veterans. We had people literally on all, I would say, all but probably one continent that we sold to. And wow. It was really cool, because we actually started to see what it looked like to run a big business. And then I discovered that that's really not what I wanted. So it took me the opportunity to build something like that and have a big team and a big office and a big overhead and all these things. And we're flipping a gajillion houses. And then I realized, I'm like, Dean, I'm kind of miserable. Running in this. It's a machine that spits out cash, but I'm still stuck in this hamster wheel. Mm-hmm. And so August of 21, we owned like 56 houses that we were flipping at the time. And we fired our entire renovation staff, and we subbed everything out to general contractors, and we started winding that down. And it took well over a year to get out of that. Because of course I found out, as we had less and less houses to flip, all of the worse and worse ones that were left, that the team didn't want to deal with, were left there. But we built a bunch of houses as well. We did 60+ new construction homes, which is pretty good chunk, come to find out, in the builder world. But I still wasn't feeling that same feeling I wanted to have. Build wealth, create space for my family, help and impact people, and do it in a way that I get to do all the things I love, which is being outdoors and go play golf and go hunting and go enjoy the time with my family, which I had really lost track of as I was building that business. So we started looking for bigger opportunities and using that 80-20 lever. What am I good at? I'm good at connecting and making relationships and finding creative ways to put deals together. And so last year we actually did our first 7-figure netting deal, and I was hooked. I'm like, I'm buying great assets, and instead of flipping 100 houses, why not flip one piece of, ground and, net $1 million or more. And so I'll pause.
Yeah, no, that's perfect, dude. I think that what you just shared there ties back into the vision, which is what I was trying to figure out. What we're going to end with is the tools for creating the vision, because you talked about how you had thought through it, and I think will be helpful for people is to understand how to work through that. How do you understand how to navigate that? And so you went through, you built this, but do you feel like your vision had been kind of established to that point? Maybe you fulfilled a vision and now your vision had changed, or maybe you didn't have one at that point. What would you have to say about that?
I think it's some of both. And I tell, my coaching students too, and it's okay. Like 5 years from now or 10 years from now, it's undoubtedly going to be a little different. I think for most people,
yep. And
that's okay. And for me, I definitely had this, build this big business and have this big office. And we had it, the 3-story brick, in the great part of town. And I felt really special, but I also, it didn't actually feed the thing that I wanted, which was, to have more time freedom and to, financially be actually de-risking my own personal, net worth and my own personal finances. And I love helping people. And, flipping houses and having homes for people to buy is great, but it wasn't giving me that same fulfillment that I really think I thought it would get. And so, I made the choice that, hey, even if it makes money, it doesn't matter if I'm not really happy doing it. And if we can go build that thing, we can go build something else. And that's totally fine.
Yeah.
So to create the vision, we have to, I like this question, and Gary, my coach, asked this, and he says, what will people talk about when you're gone? Like, what is the experience that people talk about? Because I think a lot of times we think like, oh, I'm worth X amount of dollars, or I got to live in this big house, or I got to whatever. I like to think about what Gary asked, which is, what do people talk about when I'm gone? What impact did I make? What do my kids say? What does my spouse say? What are the people around me who I made an impact for their life, and they were actually impacted in a positive way to do something great in their life because I was on the planet? And then I think, okay, well, that doesn't pay me to, that doesn't help me financially, right? But it's a guide. And then we can back up and say, okay, well, in order to do that, in order to bring that fulfillment to the world, or to bring that to life, what do I need to do? Well, what do I want to do? I want to do big deals. I want to own cool Airbnb houses all over the country and make mad cash flow off of it. I like build to rent stuff because you know what? I can network and leverage connections and relationships and banking. And frankly, it's easier to do a $10 million deal than it is to do a $100,000 deal.
Yeah.
It's way easier. And so the vision though was like, I want to make an impact. I want to be a great dad. I want to leave a financial legacy that my parents, like, they're awesome people and they've done the best job they can do, but they did not do that. For me anyway, they've taken care of themselves and I'm happy for them, right? But I want to do it in a big way that impacts many people. And I want to give away $1 million a year before I'm dead and it be in perpetuity that I can actually impact kids' education and arts, because there's so many programs that get cut out. And so guess what? I need to make millions of dollars to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And so I've just find purpose and passion in life and in seeking those things that I can actually do that makes an impact, and then run it back through the system. Like does this work? Does this fit in my vision of helping other people? And putting all those things from vision to strategy, and then the tax to actually do it, and put those in place, and then take action.
So what's next then? So you've created this vision, you've made this shift. What are you most excited about that you're working on right now?
That's an awesome question. So I have a number of things that are actually working and are pretty interesting right now. So we have a online community of like 13,000 people in our Facebook group, and we're really in the process of professionalizing that and bringing all kinds of cool stuff, whether it's business development, more investing opportunities, management in that group. So I have that. I have our development partnership in Texas. So we're literally building build to rent stuff right now. We're putting up 24 duplex units. We're doing another seven-figure development, adding these baller Airbnb houses, and then actually just launched a nationwide lending platform that was birthed out of my Facebook group. So it's literally still in beta at this moment, but it's literally designed for the professional real estate investor, and so we'll be able to actually help people do loans and lending, both in my students, my group, and all across the US with that. So just a few things.
Just a couple things.
Yeah.
Just to mention enough.
And I just launched my own personal coaching program for the first time for private clients too. So we had 3 new clients this week. Super stoked about that. And that's cool. Like living more into that vision, right? So it's like, I can go help you, help your whole family. So not only did I get to do something cool with you, but then you as a student get to go and impact your whole community. So I'm having fun.
Yeah, no, I saw you post about it. You had a bunch of people that raised their hand, reach out to me. I'm super interested. That's cool, man. I mean, it goes back to the whole impact thing, everything that you're doing. You already have a massive community. I mean, 13,000 people in a Facebook group is pretty nuts. And I've heard about your events that you do. You host meetups, which you've invited myself, Jason Pritchard, and Stratton Brown out to, which is cool. We can't wait. It's going to be exciting. But that's what it's all about, man. It's all about the community aspect. It's about the impact. That ties back into the legacy that you're leaving. And how much fun are you having? You know, like, are you enjoying what you're doing and having the freedom? Because it's cool to build this big business. I want to touch on that real quick. Your business before served a purpose, right?
Yeah.
Served a purpose. Not only did it help a bunch of people buy investment properties, it helped you and your team and your family and everything, right, grow and get that experience. And then it served the purpose until it didn't. And then it was like, all right, what's right for me now? Because at beginning, I'm sure it's like, I need to have traction. I need to have success. I need to move the needle forward. And you couldn't necessarily start out with your vision of maybe doing the big deals or coaching people how to do stuff, right? Because you just weren't there yet. So there was a process to it.
100%. And I think that's I love the reframe of that too, because I couldn't be doing the things I'm doing now without the experience and knowledge I gained from running the business in that way. And so there's something beautiful about that. I always think about that, like the old timer coach that sits on the bench, you know, the basketball team or football team or whatever, and they're drawing up plays and they've been thinking about plays for 40 years and all the little intricacies of where a position goes. And obviously this is way more your space than mine, but it's the same in business, the same in real estate, where over time we get to see things and it's not foreign anymore. It's not surprising anymore. We can see it. And if we can see it in the moment, then we can also have the opportunity in the moment. And so that's been a really beautiful thing and something that's made a huge impact for me too.
So the person that's listening to this and says, okay, I get I need to have a more clear vision. That's really important for me to understand what it is that I want. What do you say to the new person who's maybe just getting started, and how can they figure out how to create their vision for where they're at and where they want to go? What are kind of some of the steps to go through to create that vision?
Sure. Well, there's a couple things that I like to first, I like to visualize what does it look and feel like you can even close your eyes and imagine like how does it feel to be successful? And what am I wearing? What house am I walking into? What car am I driving? What is my day-to-day experience? And how does it feel and smell and look? And I even like having it clear like what is the color on the door of your house? What does it smell like when you get into the car? Because you start to have like the clear and more like fundamental you can make the image and the experience, the more clear it is. The brain doesn't know the difference, right? If we're saying like this is what my life looks like, and then I like the calendar. I like to go on Google or in your journal or whatever, write out a couple weeks and put in a calendar like what do I want to spend my time doing? And some people are like, dude, I work 9 to 5. I got a wife or husband. I got kids, and I don't have. It's like no. That's not what I'm asking. If you could do whatever you wanted to with your time, what would it look like? Put it on the calendar and think about it. And then I like to ask, okay, well, of all the niches in real estate, you think about wholesaling or fix and flip or buying and holding, Airbnb, whatever, right? There's a million. Which one do you go to sleep at night thinking about? You get up in the morning thinking about, you went and read the book about, you listen to the podcast, you're trying to figure it out. Which one keeps showing up? Because everybody wants to do a bunch of stuff, and that's cool. And you probably do, and I do, but I didn't start there. So let's pick one. Let's pick one lane and let's build the on-ramp to get there. And I like to think about how fast can we get up to like normal highway speed. So what is the one thing that you're going to do? What is the result that you want it to be? I want to own 10 doors. Okay. I want to make, X number of dollars in cash flow. Okay. I want to own $1 million in real estate. All these things sound crazy to somebody who's not done it before. And to someone who has done it over and over, I've done that, multiple times in days or in weeks. Because once you have a formula for what you want to create and how you get there, then it's easy. And so the clear the path, right? So what's the on-ramp? How do I fund my deals? What do I buy? What fits in this box that I actually buy? How old is it? How big is it? Where does it, where's the house located? Is it a multifamily building? Is it, suburban? Is it urban? Is it in the country? All these things, the more clear we make what it is that we want to do, and then we can run that in the focus of the vision, which is, I want 10 of them. Okay. Well, if I want 10 in a year, there's 12 months, I have to buy almost one a month. So we can start to break these things down into a really simple formula to say, okay, well, first one, how many offers did it take? Okay. Now we know how many offers to make. What do we need lending wise? Let's talk to the lender and tell them what our objective is. So we can explain to them what it is. And we go systematically through all those things. And pretty soon we come back to the vision and say, is that still what I want? Is it 10? Is it 20? Is it $1 million? Is it 10 million? Okay, let's tweak it. Let's refine. What do we need to change now on the path to get back on the highway and get it running? And I love that approach. You go far out, you come back in, and you look micro, macro, micro, macro. And it takes some time. It takes some effort. It's uncomfortable. People are afraid to be successful, which is crazy, Dean.
I know. It's crazy. We get in our own way. So write it down. And then guess what? Go tell everybody. Go tell the person at the gas station, tell the person that you're getting groceries from, tell your mom, tell your dog, tell your friends, tell yourself you're going to be successful. It's not going to be easy. You're going to have to do the work, but there's nothing like telling yourself that it's going to happen. And I'll tell you, Dean, there's nothing in my journal that I've written ever that I have not accomplished.
And if people are serious about wanting to actually have something happen in their life that they want, they have to start writing it down. Write it down, tell everybody, take action. That's the only way to do it.
Man, I'm just thinking about myself and my life and my business. And I think back to when I've really accomplished something, it's come down to the just simple aspect of writing it down and speaking it into existence. And there's a lot of other things that you shared in between there that can help that become a reality and help shape it. And I think telling people is one of those mysterious things that just really do help accelerate it a lot.
100%. Because you know what? If you're going to have the balls to talk about it and all the things that come with that, or people like, oh, you can't do that, or you don't have the time, or you don't know what you're doing, or you don't have the money. And like, yeah. Doesn't matter. I'm doing this. Like, this is happening. And here's the other thing. How bad do you want it? How bad do you want it? And are you willing to actually do the work? Are you willing to go through the hard parts? Are you willing to go through the parts that people say no, or not now, or not enough, or you don't have enough money? All those things, they're simply things in the way of problems you have to solve. They're just reminders of what needs to be there as you are successful.
Yeah, I love that. Well, dude, it's been super fun to have you on. Again, if you guys want to connect with Nathan, you go to Nathan Brooks REI, connect with him there, reach out. You guys, I always tell everybody it's about information and relationships. Okay. And relationships are even more important than the information, because chances are that relationship has more, the info you want. So, make sure you connect with Nathan, reach out to him, let him know you heard us on the podcast. And, dude, just a pleasure to have you on. Any last words you want to leave people with?
Well, it's a pleasure to connect with you too. Like I told you off air, I'm always like, I love this format. I love talking with people who are passionate. And I would say, if people are stuck creating a vision, just write down what you can see. Like, just write down what you can see. Don't be stuck that it's not good enough. Don't be stuck that it's not cool enough, or that you watch Grant Cardone or whoever else. That, like, it doesn't matter. It's your vision. So you write it down. It's for you. It's not for anybody else. And embrace whatever it is that you want, and live into that. And the more that you're living into yourself and what you want, the more fun you're going to have, the more passion you're going to have in your life, and the more fulfillment. So it's time that people actually start doing that.
Amen, brother. Well, dude, thanks for coming on. Hope you enjoyed it, everybody. Until next time, peace.